Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. So, made a previous video on this situation. Um, Basically, Brother Polite was accused of the R word, sexual assault, to be more specific, to a minor. She's 14 years of age. They found his DNA on her mouth, on her clothing, on so on and so forth. It was an awful situation. Basically, what I understand, in short, was there was some type of situation where he was taking the girl out of the hotel room. I guess they were in a hotel. There was a club downstairs or something like that. Maybe there was some type of argument with the mother. Um, so between the mother and daughter, I guess Brother Polite was tasked with taking the daughter out of the house to kind of clear her head, in a heated moment, that kind of thing, take a walk, I guess, that kind of thing. And I guess he decided he was going to take her to a club. Why he was taking her to a club, I have no idea. Maybe that was just like, since it was the closest thing they could kind of get her out the hotel without actually leaving the premises. I guess that's how that ultimately turned out, but it was all inappropriate, to say the least. Make a long story short, I guess the club was not open, so they went back to the hotel room as to which the assault was alleged to have taken place. So my whole point of view on that situation was just as anyone else's, with some decency. I was appalled, disgusted, horrified, sad, concerned, etc. for the victim. Anyway, to make a long story short, Polite was arrested for that, got out on bail, immediately came out and kind of didn't get a chance to necessarily proclaim his innocence because of the obviousness of the situation, lawyers and stuff like that. But he did basically say that he has a strong representation that he believes will hold him down, etc., etc. Now, there's another aspect of the situation, which is why I turned on the camera. It's a man by the name of Sanetta out of New York, part of the conscious community, one of the main guys in the conscious community. Essentially, his point of view several years ago was one of conflict or beef with Brother Polite, and he said some things about Brother Polite that kind of coincided with the nature of these claims. I guess Sanetta was calling him Dr. York or something like that during the time when there was another case taking place. My understanding is that case was thrown out, and because of it, Sanetta walked away feeling as if he was kind of out of the line for accusing the man of being a pedophile. Fast forward to now, these accusations come out, and Sanetta is essentially saying, I don't want to go down that road again. I accused this man several years ago, and I left out of there being wrong or feeling mistaken or having the case thrown out, thus believing I was mistaken. And that's just not the path I want to go. I learned that lesson. I don't want to go down that path. Now, if he did it, more power to everybody who's ready to vilify him. I'll stand next to you and we'll get him out of here together. But for the time being, because of the mistake or perceived mistake that I made in the past with that situation, condemning the man, I just don't feel like that's the mistake I don't want to go down that path again in the case that it may be a mistake. Here's my thing. Was there any DNA evidence in the case previously? I don't have an answer to that. But if the answer is no, that would definitely change things for me as it pertains to how I would view today's situation and how to react to today's situation. Now, I left room when I made my video. When we had the information out, it was preliminary time. It wasn't really anything set in stone as it pertained to the sources being, plentiful. It was only one source giving this information at the time, and I left room for all situations. I said, look, this is what I think if this is a setup, and this is what I think if he's guilty. And you separate the 2 points and you leave it as it is. And if people get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. But what you don't do is pick one side of truth possibilities and lean on that for any reason, but especially not because of a lesson that you learned in a previous situation that clearly isn't the same as this one. I don't know if that is how he's thinking or if that's how he wants his audience to believe he's thinking. But either way, I'm here to speak because I tried to comment on the video questioning that very thing and that comment got deleted. So that prompted me to speak. And I don't know if Sanetta or his people actually deleted my comment, or if this was just something that was having service issues or something like that. Maybe something else happened, a third issue maybe. Who knows? Something could have happened that kept me from being able to edit and post my comment. But I was initially able to post it. Then I went to edit some words that were misspelled, and it wouldn't allow me to repost again. So my thing was I was probably being silenced, and I don't particularly like being silenced. I don't think most people do, but most importantly, I do have a channel of my own, so I can kind of voice my opinion and get it out that way. So that's what I've chosen to do in this case. And the reason why I felt like I wanted to do that, it was so important for me to get this frustration out, is because I too was a child who was a victim of sexual assault at 2 years of age. Those memories are still in my head to this day. The earliest memories of my existence were being taken advantage of. So I know how that plays on you, whether you're 2 years old, obviously 14 years old, however bad it is, whatever level, it's all horrible. And at the end of the day, I feel like because there was evidence in this particular situation, because of the nature of the evidence and what we understand that evidence to have been, which was just horrific in nature, we have to look at this situation with a certain level of understanding that, a victim is involved in this case. And the victim is set in stone regardless of whether or not this is a setup or not. And the reason why I say that is because the evidence was that of semen being on her clothing and on her skin, her face. So even if you setting this man up, y'all put that 14-year-old girl through that in order to do that. Do you see what I'm saying? Semen don't get on nobody's face unless you place it on there. Unless it's placed there. Let's just be real. So even if they're setting this lady up, even if they're setting this man up by using this young girl, they put her through something. Whoever did this put her through something. So she's going to be a victim regardless. And that's where I come in. It's like, look, we need to be respectful of this young girl. We don't need to be sitting here saying, well, because the conscious community got on my case for being wrong about Brother Polite in the past, now that we have this situation coming about, it's very important that I make sure that the conscious community doesn't attack me again for the same thing. What are we thinking about? Me. That's what I didn't appreciate about Sanetta's display. He's thinking about himself and how he's viewed by people in the community, not as it pertains to the integrity of protecting a young girl, but as it pertains to betraying his political ties and making a mistake of basically having egg on your face, as if that's the worst feeling in the world. You understand what I'm saying? In comparison, obviously. Let's just be honest here. What this appears to be to me is somebody protecting their political ties, and the only time they felt comfortable calling a man out for what it is that he was doing against a child was in the case of not having any evidence. Once it became real, once it wasn't something that he could quote unquote attach to some beef with this individual, when he's cool with the person, he don't want him caught for it, is what it shows me. He don't want to call him out for it. He only want to call him out for it when he has a problem with the man. Other than that, he doesn't really care what he does. And now I have a problem with that, because that's the same energy that allows people to continue to allow others to get victimized when they know about it, not saying nothing. It's that Joe Paterno bullshit. It's why he was disgraced, because he was only concerned with keeping his football program intact, and he would allow a man who was known to be a predator to continue to work on his watch, so that he didn't have to face what came with holding that man accountable. That's what I'm concerned is taking place here. He's going back saying, nah, don't believe none of that stuff I said about this man, because I didn't have any evidence back then. I was just capping. I was just trying to bluff him. I was trying to bang on him, as he said in his words. And we was beefing, so we was going back at each other. We were trying to hurt each other and cut each other's deep with words. There was no limitation to how bad I wanted to hurt the man, but that's not the situation right now. I made a mistake back then. So because I made that mistake, I need to not hold him accountable now when the evidence is damning. And my thing is, nah, that just speaks to the character, to your character, man. All that tells me is that you got problems with people you beef with, not necessarily people who victimize others that you don't beef with. And then that speaks to a lot of different other stuff we start questioning. Another thing I didn't really like is what he was selling in regards to, because he has a daughter, I guess it means that he can't be accused of condoning such behavior or being accused of being compromised in the way that I just accused him of being compromised, possibly. I don't think that having a daughter absolves you from being a creep or a bad guy or any of those things. Some of the very victims that are in this world are being victimized by their fathers. And I would imagine the type of energy or the type of display that you just shown is the type of display that they would show, protecting their buddy pedophiles that they don't have beef with. Now, they would expose them pedophiles in a second if the situation went sour or south, but they'll continue to shake hands and be cool because, of course, they practice the same things. Now, I'm not accusing Sanetta of doing that, but what I'm saying is, for you to sell to me that such a thing doesn't exist makes me wonder. For you to say, well, because I have a daughter, what do I look like condoning some pedophile? You look like you look right now. A man with a daughter condoning a pedophile. That's what you look like. Silencing anybody that'll dare question you about it. What you look like. So that's ultimately what offended me about this entire situation. It's like, what are you selling to people? You want us to believe that you're stupid, or are you stupid? That's where my mind goes. Honestly, it's like, do you only see the angle of I made a mistake, so I'm afraid to make that mistake again for fear of for the reaction of that? Because that's a simple-minded thought when we're talking about victims and predators and things that actually matter, as opposed to just your personal point of view and how you are affected by whatever happens in the situation. That's a child's way of thinking. You think about himself first, when there's so much else to consider, especially in the sense that he has a voice that he's speaking to others and affecting others' thoughts with what he's saying. A person like that needs not be speaking or leading anyone else, because they can't see nothing but themselves. How the hell can I lead you this way, that way, when I don't see the angles necessary to remove myself and my ego from the situation? Either you ain't smart enough to do that, or you are and aren't decent enough to. Either way, we shouldn't be following the person like that. The black community, the conscious community, needs not follow people who can't remove their ego for the betterment of a child, in this case. But even more accurately, for the betterment of the truth. Regardless of what political ties you may have or previous beefs that have now been squashed that you don't want to rehash, fear of rekindling a beef with a powerful man who may not be guilty. Again, I see those angles. But what you need to do is verbalize that. If he's guilty, this. If he's not guilty, that. You did that to a degree, but not to the degree that would satisfy a mind like mine as it pertains to wanting to see you put aside your own ego, your own fears, your own political ties to protect the child. Because I'm telling you, that's a better display than this bullshit you doing right here, Sanetta. That's a much better display. Saying, you know what, I don't fuck with that man. And if it turns out he's guilty, I want to see him in the jail. That's the only thing anybody want to hear from the leader of the conscious community. And most importantly, Brother Polite should expect that and respect that based on the allegations coming his way, especially if he's innocent. He should know what you need to do for the betterment of the community in that regard. So he shouldn't be sitting up here if he's worth a damn, which we believe he may not be, because he looked just as selfish as you look, if not a lot worse selfish and a lot more selfish, obviously. But in his rhetoric, he looked just as selfish as you. So he may not be. But nevertheless, it's very important that we not let the predator control the narrative as it pertains to his power and what he can do. We ain't letting no R. Kellys slide. We not letting no more of these individuals of high power, no more of this nonsense. We're speaking on that in 2021. So that's how I feel, man. No more of that nonsense. I'm trying to think of Ghislaine Maxwell and those idiots at the top. No more of that. We're speaking on that. Children deserve to be protected, and victims turn into predators. So it's very, very important that you help victims early. Because if we never find out these people were victims, they a lot of times, in a lot of cases, turn into the predators. We know this. It's a scientific fact. Preventative measures are necessary, and all this, my political ties, I made a mistake, the people got on me, I'm kind of scared of that type of stuff. That does nothing at all for what it is that I'm saying here. You are hurting that particular cause. You're allowing for more of that. Each and every human being that does that allows for more of the same. Somebody got to be strong enough to love their daughters enough to put their own political shit and their egos aside, however best to do so. That's my opinion. That's what I think people should be doing too. So that's what I got, man. No more selling people bullcrap as it pertains to, oh no, well, of course it's not that, because it used to be that. No, we know that that doesn't work. Yesterday's problems are not today's issues. Just because they look alike, they're not the same. You apply things the exact same way, you're going to get different results. It's a different day, different situation, different DNA results. I'm not certain Brother Polite is guilty, but I am certain there's a victim there. And because of it, I'm not coming to no defense of no damn Brother Polite, whether I know him or not. If my homeboy, my brother, my sister, whomever, anybody do that shit, they shouldn't be given no bail. They shouldn't be out. System failed that young girl, letting Brother Polite buy his way out of jail for the situation. He should be locked behind bars. He shouldn't be free while she's out here trying to cope with what happened. Nah, once that DNA was found, there should have been no room for any type of bail. So that right there speaks to the type of corruption on high as it pertains to protecting our children. Clearly, they don't give a shit. Let's just be real. There's no way in hell no judge should be allowing that man no bail. Let's just be real. Our children are not protected, man. These people pretend like they want to fight pedophilia. They pretend like they want to fight this stuff, but they don't really want to fight it. They just want to appear like they're fighting it when it matters to them. And most importantly, they want to be able to use it against their enemies. You see that angle, y'all? A lot of these people at the top know some of the people that they do business with are sickos. And they don't want that information out and about because they want to be able to use it against who they want to use it against when they need to be able to use it. It's a trump card that a lot of these evil MFs at the top know is in their back pocket about some of the people around them. And they're not going to expose these people unless it benefits them to do so, Sanetta. It's another reason why I'm speaking this way. Because I know people do that shit, and you displayed that. Now when the political ties are straight, now it's like, oh man, he cool. Oh, if he did it, it's a problem. But if he didn't do it, I'm certainly not gonna be the first one to say it. Nah. But if you have problems with the man, you make it up about him, right? I'm done talking, man. My name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.